welcome back to the channel. Another 12th man episode. After a fantastic weekend of football, the Premier League was back, and it was back with a bang. We'll be looking back at that Man City Liverpool game. Everyone was looking forward to picking the bones out of it. A great result for Liverpool. But could they have left with more than the point that they left? Where Man City are for taking. We'll be looking at that. Does it prove Liverpool can compete with Man City, not just on the day, but over the season, or realistically? And we had a chance to win the league. We'll also be looking back. Arsenal won the day later on that day. They go top of the league, courtesy of that draw between Man City and Liverpool. So are they now the team they beat? They look very drilled and organised. Maybe a different Arsenal team. They what we've known Arsenal to be over the past, being attacking, free flowing, sort of always scoring goals. This team's more of a balanced team, so we're going to be looking at that. We'll also be looking back at the rest of them games, including United's massive one over Everton, which was all sparked with Garnacho's overhead kick, one of the greatest Premier League goals of all time. Where does that rank? Could he be what United have been missing all season? Should he get more games? And could United, now after 5 wins and 6, could they be outsiders for maybe even the title? We'll have to see. Also on Super Sunday, Spurs took the lead again against Aston Villa, but lost the game 2-1. Very wasteful. Should Spurs fans be worried after losing 3 games in a row with Man City away they come, or should they look at the positives and that they are creating chances, playing good football, and a lot of injuries? So maybe the title turn. We'll look back at the rest of them weekend results. A few bad results down there for the likes of Everton, with teams picking up points around them in the relegation battle. We'll look ahead to the Champions League games this week. Massive games for Man United, Newcastle, and Celtic as well, who all need results this week or their Champions League journey will be over. And we'll finish off by looking ahead to the weekend. Another big game in store on Super Sunday, and that's Man City against Spurs. So before we get started, Owen, great to have you back on. You were buzzing because you said to me you were looking to do the show. I don't know if that was a sign of confidence, because to be fair to you, you actually said before the game you wanted to do it, so it wasn't just after the result. So, and you did predict on here you didn't think Liverpool would lose the game, and that is what happened. So, I mean, how are you feeling?
If you offered me a point going in there, I would have took it. So I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining with the result at all. Especially the way we played. I didn't think we played particularly well. So I'm happy with the point that the Etihad, especially with our record there in recent years. I don't think we've won a league game there since 2015, and we haven't won there at all since like the Champions League quarter-final back in 2018. So it's not a happy hunting ground for us.
I mean, as I said on the show last week, I think it was with Callum and Jamie, it's very unusual after an international break you come back to such a big game at 12:30, and it was obviously huge because it was a top 2 in the league before the ball was kicked this weekend. And I have to say, I mean, it was a tight game. Maybe that was down to the international break. Maybe in a way, Liverpool fans were unhappy with the schedule. Maybe that played into their hands that Man City weren't at the races. They started, I think Gary Neville summed it up well in commentary. In spells in different parts of the game, City were good, but overall, they weren't anywhere near their best. But you could also say Liverpool maybe weren't at their best too. But I kind of thought that for Liverpool to get a result on Saturday, they needed Man City to be off it. So that's actually how it played out. And I mean, what was your actual take on the game? Because very tactical. It wasn't like the Spurs Villa game where we seen yesterday, where it was quite open and entertaining and attacking. This was more of a chess match. Both managers obviously a lot of respect for each other. Both teams a lot of respect for each other. So I mean, it probably wasn't the blockbuster everybody wanted to see, but from a tactical point of view, I thought it was very, very good.
To be fair, once City went 1-0 down or 1-0 up, sorry, I was fearing the worst for us, because I just thought after that the floodgates was open. But to be fair to us, we sort of settled back into the game a bit, and Trent was having a good game against Docky, in my opinion. I know he got bit a few times, but he didn't really struggle that much against them. And as you say, it was a chess match. It wasn't like free-flowing football. It was more who's going to blink first. And I think once Liverpool scored, I think both teams sort of settled for the point.
It's interesting that Trent got man of the match, because he obviously had a good game, but I thought Docky was probably Man City's best player too. The 2 best players was probably against each other, and you don't really see that. I think at times Docky terrorised Trent, but then other times Trent done well against them. Obviously, popped up with a big goal. He's attacking play. Played a lot of good passes. Especially when Liverpool under pressure at times. He was an outlet with that pass he has, and he played it over the top a few times, and he started a lot of Liverpool moves. So it was a funny one. But I
For
mean,
me,
they were good
for
players for me. Maybe apart from Bernardo Silva.
That's what I was just going to say. I was just going to come on that. For me, I thought Bernardo Silva was excellent. Like every time he got the ball, he was. I think there was one point where he just was. I don't know who he turned, but he turned somebody and he just broke the line and they were just at us. He was the one that all their play was going through in the middle of the park. And for me, I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Maybe not now, but he was years ago. Like, but he's a wonderful footballer watching. If there's anyone in that Man City team I would put on the Liverpool, would be him, even over Haaland.
Mm. Well, I know you're saying that because Bernardo Silva is a top player, very very good player. But I thought that the main difference between the two teams,
Was Haaland and
the
Nunez.
biggest gap in quality between the two teams for me, and I suppose the goalkeeper was Pearl the day. Allison will speak about that, but we know he's a top player, and you give him a bye ball in that game. But
Yeah.
the biggest difference in quality between the two teams, I thought, was the two strikers. I mean, I thought that really showed on Saturday. I know you're a Darwin Nunez fan, and I mean, he is trying his best. I do think you can't question his work rate, but you saw in the game when it came to the killer moments, then it was night and day between the two of them, wasn't it?
I'm Darwin Nunez's probably biggest fan, but there's no way you can compare him to Haaland. Like I'm probably one of the most biased Liverpool fans out there, but I'm not gonna sit here and say Nunez is half the player Haaland is. You seen there was a chance where Nunez could have broke through, but his first touch wasn't great, and then Haaland gets the same opportunity and bang, it's 1-0. Like it's night and day. But I generally think Nunez. I don't know if he will get there, but I think he can get there if he puts his head down and really tries.
Mm. I mean, the most surprising thing about the game I thought was me, Callum, and Jamie, the combined 11 on Saturday. And Jamie, to be
Wow.
fair, was very, very defensive on Ederson. And if you were judging on that game, the two goalkeepers were in a different league because Ederson didn't give anything away. He was very good in the air, very good with his feet, especially some of the passes he was playing. We know that he's got that in his game, but Alisson had a very, very poor game. And
Yeah.
he really was fortunate he didn't cost Liverpool on a couple of occasions. I mean, you think about the one he passed it straight to Foden, he got away with that one. The goal for me, the disallowed goal was very, very soft. And I think you said to me you agree with that. You thought it was
I
soft.
did. I thought it was
And
soft.
even at the end, when Liverpool were kind of, you could see in the last few minutes, Liverpool were the team that were more happy with the point.
Yeah.
And there was a chance at the end with about 20 seconds to go where she just hoofed it, and he tried to play it outside his foot. Ends up now getting injured, and he could be out. We're hearing for 4 weeks. So I mean, first of all, the performance, and if he is out for a few weeks, how big a loss that'll be to Liverpool.
I mean, you can't really say much about the performance. It wasn't great, and surprisingly for Allison, it's not the first time he's had a rough time against Man City. I remember the time at Anfield when Klopp famously said his feet was cold. If you remember that, he had a bad game when they beat us 4-1 back in the COVID times. But getting on to the injury, if he is out for 4 weeks, like it has a big loss. Like for me, even despite these poor performance on Saturday, he's the best keeper in the world. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's the best keeper in the world. And when you take him out of our team, it is going to have an effect, especially not so much in the upcoming games, but when we get to the Uniteds and Arsenals, that's when I'll probably start to see it the most. But hopefully the injury is not as bad as first feared, and he'll be fit for
Probably
them.
the worst. It's probably the worst month of the season injured because I think there's 6 league games in December, and you also have that cup game against
Yeah.
West Ham. He might not have played that game, but there's 7 games. If we take out the Europa League games because they're kind of relevant now, Liverpool have wrapped that up. He wouldn't have played them games either. So we take out the cup game, he probably wouldn't have played that either. So 6 games, and as you say, you've got United in there and Arsenal in there, and especially for the likes of Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal at the moment, look, I don't think they're playing unbelievable football. But I don't. I think that's by design. I think that's kind of the way they're set out to play. They're going to be very difficult to beat, and they believe that they can win games 1-0. Well, or not that's sustainable or not is another thing. But we did see Chelsea all them years ago do it under Mourinho and stuff. So, well, Arteta just thinks that instead of maybe trying to shoot his with glory, they're going to try and win games by being smart, especially away from home. I think at home they're a lot more open and they tend to score more goals. Away from home, it's kind of a bit of a battle. The one thing you would say about Arsenal at the moment is they're not rolling over. They're not a soft touch. Even when they went to Newcastle, they competed. Brentford competed. They're not being physically outdone like they were under the likes of Wenger and Emery. So that'll be a difficult game. And we'll speak about Arsenal in a wee minute. But
To
I
be
mean,
fair,
Callum's saying here that Kelleher doesn't follow with confidence. He lets too many goals in where he shouldn't. And I mean, I think the biggest worry about that is, I mean, there's two Irish goalkeepers at the minute, and he's not even number one. They prefer Bazunu. So I mean, he's not great. That would tell you that he's not a Liverpool quality first team keeper, is he?
No, he never was. Like I think once he came in and played them a couple of games, myself included, probably overhyped him a bit. But maybe that's the Irish thing coming into. You want him to do well, but I do think he's a Premier League keeper. I think he could do a job for like a mid-table team. But
I think he needs to play. I think he needs to play.
Yeah.
I think that's probably his biggest thing.
But I can't. If he does step up for Alisson, I'll back him. But if you take Alisson out of that team, it's a big loss. But I was just going to say about the Liverpool Arsenal game, their goalkeepers, both of them, don't fill me with confidence either. So that could be a fun game.
Now Ramsey nearly cost Arsenal. Callum's also saying that in decisive moments, Haaland is clearly better, but Nunez has 2 less goal contributions than Haaland this year, over criticised, in my opinion. Is that just in the Premier League? But that's not Europa League, is it?
I haven't looked on it, but
I mean, because I mean, if there's Europa League in there, I would nearly take that out because of the teams he's played. Not.
I do agree, but City haven't played that many good teams in the Champions League either, to be fair.
Well, they're still better than the teams Liverpool are playing. I mean, I've tried to watch some of Liverpool games, and they've been like training sessions. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah. To be fair, I do think Nunez is over criticised as well. We actually have to pay an extra 8.5 million for him now, I'm hearing, because he made his 60th appearance, I think it was.
And how would you sum it up after 60 games? Has he done enough to suggest he's worth the money?
So, like what? Probably not. No, but as I say, I'm never gonna stop bagging him, and I do think he'll explode into life. But hey, he's one of them strikers. He's gonna have a good game. He's gonna have a bad game. He's gonna have a good game and bad game. So
that's the argument, doesn't it? That if you're a top striker, you don't have bad games. You might have one every 6 or 7 weeks. You don't have one and 2 or 1 and 3.
The thing with Liverpool though is like, Nunez misses chances, but then you have the likes of Salah who just bags goals for fun, so it sort of gets overlooked.
I know Callum's probably watching because he's commenting there, and I'm not saying this to be controversial because he's very, very big on Liverpool's firepower, as are you. But do you not think, as good as these players you do have in that area, there is an over-reliance on Salah? If Salah doesn't score goals, the rest of them, yes, they can score goals. But are they reliable goal scorers? I mean, Diaz has only scored 8 goals for Liverpool. I know he's been injured at times, but you know, he's not a proven goal scorer. Nunez is not a proven goal scorer for Liverpool in the Premier League. Jota, to be fair, maybe you could say from his time at Wolves and he's done well at Liverpool, could maybe step on and score goals. But you know, Salah didn't really have much. Salah doesn't have much of a. You know, he wasn't too involved in the game on Saturday, and you know, I would just worry that if you know, and it's a big if because he's a world class footballer. But if his goals if he was to have a bit of a dip, would Liverpool, you know, have they got the players up there that can replace him to score goals?
Not replace his output, but I do think if you take Salah out of the team, we're not going to score as much goals, of course not. But I think with the likes of Nunez and Gakpo and Diaz and Jota there, I still think we have enough to get through in one game. To be fair,
I would say the same with Man City. You know, if they were to lose Haaland, for example, I'm not sure as much as Foden and Doku and Grealish have all scored goals, they're not proven goal scorers as well. So I think for Man City and Liverpool, you know, Haaland and Salah are going to be key for them to stay fit.
But then again, Arsenal are sort of in the same boat. They don't really have a proven goal scorer either. They sort of just spread goals through the team because Jesus isn't really a proven goal scorer.
No, but I think, in Arsenal's case, I think that there's no reliance on one player. So if they were to lose one of them, I don't think it's as big because they don't rely on a certain individual to score goals.
The only player for Arsenal, I think, would be a big loss would be Declan Rice if he was to go out for
exactly. I think he would be their biggest loss at the moment because he's driving them. He's driving them on.
Him or Saliba would be their biggest loss, in my opinion.
Callum saying outside of Salah, Jota as far away than was clinical. Always going to rely on players as good as Salah. And I've also read he could be injured as well. Is there any truth in that?
No, there's truth in it. Klopp says he felt something in the game. He did go off with an injury, but I don't know how bad that is either. We're waiting on scan results, I think Klopp said. But Klopp did say Alisson said he only felt a wee something. So hopefully it's not too bad. But I think we can cope without Jota. The Allison one's the worry one for me.
Martin's saying we'll find out in January when Salah's at the African Cup of Nations. I think he misses games against Chelsea and Arsenal.
I think
I think he'll be okay for Arsenal. Unless he's play Arsenal again in January, geez. I don't know.
No, we play. I don't think we play Arsenal again in February, but I think in the international or the African Cup of Nations, I think one of them weeks is the winter break for the league anyway. So I think he might only miss like an FA Cup game and one league game or something. I'm not too sure on that, but I don't think it'll be as.
Depend on how far Egypt go, but
they'll not get too far. I don't think.
Did they not make a final last time and they lost to Mani's team?
They did, but I don't think they have the same sort of quality, and I think teams are getting better over there. So I don't fancy Egypt to do much. But when you have a team, when you have a player,
saying your prayers are put out in the group stage.
I don't care how far they get as long as Salah doesn't get injured.
I mean, like we're chatting about injuries, like, and I know on those injuries, more injuries than about Spurs fans. Yeah, Spurs fans about injuries, the minute. But again, we see Liverpool lose 2 players on Saturday. Well, obviously Allison, he continued on because it was towards the end of the game, but I think if it hadn't started the game, he would have been subbed off.
No, we had no subs left. That's why we used all.
But I think even in the end, he only had to see out an hour minutes, so he was able to get through it. I mean, that would have been if that had happened 20 or 30 minutes earlier, I'm not sure he would have made it through the game. But 2 muscle injuries. We've seen a lot of muscle injuries. I mean, it's not good, is it?
No, like we said a couple of weeks ago that I think this is the season where there's been the most overall injuries so far. This stage of a season, I just think, as I've said before, I just think players are being asked to play too much football, and the last international break for me anyway was meaningless. Most teams were qualified, and even the teams who weren't qualified knew that they weren't going to qualify. So I didn't see the point of that.
The problem you've got, Owen, is they have to play these games at some stage. They have to be able to, No,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, I understand the argument for no friendlies. But the only teams that were playing friendlies is the teams that would have a rest week. The way the groups of 5.
Yep.
There might be one team that can play. I completely get the argument of having maybe a pointless friendly, but a lot of these qualifiers, when do you play them? They have to be played at some stage, don't they? It's one of them things.
But there is a lot of football being played. I actually saw McAllister. I don't know if you've seen this, said that Liverpool were in a team meeting before the City game, and he could barely keep his eyes open because he was tired with all the travel, and then they had the half 12 kickoff. So it is having an effect on players, and we're going to see more injuries throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is all a fallback from the World Cup last year. I think that season last year was a they have that World Cup in the middle of the season. Players, players had 1 week to prepare for the World Cup, and then a week after the World Cup finished, we were back playing football again. There was very little, and it was a long season for players last year. I think that's we're still recovering from that. And we've got the Euros coming up this summer, so again, I'm not sure there's going to be a chance they recover again for the European players.
And then you have the African competitions too.
Exactly, and you know what I mean. So it's very difficult to see. I mean, the only thing I can think of now. But again, how much of a difference it'll make is, do we really start thinking now about scrapping the League Cup? Because next year we've got this new European format of the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, where there's going to be 2 extra games in the initial period before Christmas. And they're already struggling to fit the League Cup on. And, I do think it's getting to a stage where it's pointless. But the only thing I would counteract that way is when you looked at the League Cup round there, the second and third and fourth rounds, a lot of the teams played their second string anyway. So it's not to say that these teams are taking it serious. So again, I'm not sure how much of a difference that would make. What I think it's down to now is you see these managers like Klopp, Pep, Arteta, Ange, even Emery, all these top teams are playing high intensity football. It's so different to how it was under the likes of Ferguson and even the likes of Wenger back in the day. The football has changed so much now. It's not even so much now about how much you can run in a game. It's how many sprints you're doing. It's all about closing down, making the space. Teams have their defenses the halfway line or just inside their own half.
Yeah.
And the football's really played within that confined space, and it's 100 mile an hour, isn't it?
I mean, there was a stat in the Aston Villa Spurs game yesterday where you ran, was it 2 kilometers more than Villa at one point? So that just shows like you're getting
20,
stats.
20 odd more sprints too. I think that was just the first half.
uh,
But it showed in
you're
the
getting
second
you're
half
getting
when Spurs didn't have the
uh,
players on the bench. They were knackered.
yeah. It it's as you say, it shows like it's sort of similar in the Everton game yesterday. We'll get on to it. Like I thought in the first half they played all right, but then in the second half they were just exhausted. So it just shows players are taking a lot out of themselves, and it the argument is, oh, they're paid good money. What are they complaining about? But as I've said before, they're still human, and they still have bodies that break down. You've seen players like back in the day, like Daniel Sturridge, Jack Wilshere, like they were made of glass. Like they were injured. They were injured every other day. Like so, and it could happen. It could happen to a young footballer. Like you see them out the games. Even Jude Bellingham's playing now, or the likes of Gavi, who's done his ACL. I'm like, that's 9 months, and he's only what 18, 19. So that could be like young players could be having suffering careers through injury because of the amount of games are being played. But as you
I
say,
read today too that I think it was that fella that Liverpool linked with in the summer from Palace is out for the rest of the season. The
Palace.
Corey
Oh, the Korea.
out
I've
for the
seen
rest of the
that.
season.
Like so, every I've put on
Callum saying that Ange put out a B team for the second round, he couldn't care less. And that's what I'm saying. That's the argument I'm making. That the argument for scrapping it is that teams aren't taking it seriously. But the counter argument, they maybe scrap. No, it would stop. Maybe it would help the injuries. I'm not sure it would because a lot of teams play their B teams anyway, so they don't actually.
Yep.
Their first
But
team players don't play. Maybe the semi-final or final.
like even we're playing West Ham in the next round, and I think even then you mightn't see the likes of Salah, or you'll probably see the likes
Well,
of.
the fact that some between United and Arsenal, it's two bad games.
Nah, you'll definitely not. I would say like Kelleher might have to take a sub on that. We might have to play Adrian in the League Cup, which see if he has to play a Premier League game, and that gives me heart failure.
I mean, getting back to the game on Saturday, I mean, a lot of people says this was a big test for Liverpool, and it. We're going to see where they're at, and did they prove on Saturday that they can compete with Man City? And did they prove they are genuine contenders?
I've said from the start of the season, and as you well know, like I said, we'd be up there fighting for the title, and we've proven to be. And the only loss, as I say, the only loss we've had is against Spurs, and we've gone, and like as I said too, I said they actually you and Callum, like we've gone away to Newcastle, we've gone away to Brighton, we've gone away to City, we've gone away to Spurs. So a lot of our games in the second half of the season are going to be home ones. So that could be a big turning point, and whether we won the title or not, it might not be, but it could be. And then so I definitely think we've proven that we can compete with the big teams, and I can't see any reason why if we put a good run of form together, we can't be up there at the end of the season lifting the Premier League title.
I'm starting to think, what, the team that wins this is going to be the team that keep their players fit because there's players dropping like flies everywhere, and
Yeah.
that's probably where it might favour Man City because they probably have the best squad. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
open. 13 games in, you couldn't
Yeah.
pick a winner.
Hey, you can throw Aston Villa into the mix. Like I don't think they will, but hey, you never know.
I'll speak about Aston Villa in a minute. But if you watch them on Sunday's
They
evidence, I'm
won't.
not sure.
They weren't great in the first half.
I'm not sure where they are is even a fair reflection of where they are because I wouldn't rate them as the fourth best team in the league.
I wouldn't rate United
They've
as
obviously
the
been
sixth
very
fielder, but
strong.
they're
They've obviously been very strong at home, but then again, they've had
yeah.
very favourable fixtures at home. They haven't actually played a top team at home yet. So I think they've got Man City and Arsenal as their next two home games. So that'll be interesting to see how they compete there. And away from home, they seem to be getting pulled from poverty post. And I mean, we'll speak about the game on Sunday because they were under pressure for a long time in that game.
I think if I remember right, we beat them 3-0 at Anfield, and they didn't really lay gloves on us.
So whether or not that's sustainable, we'll see. But I think they're doing a great job, and fair play to them. I mean, Emery's getting the best out of them. There's no doubt about it.
I think I did say at the start of the season they would be my surprise package to watch. So my predictions didn't go well at the minute.
I mean, the game on Saturday, I enjoyed it from a tactical point of view, but as an entertainment point of view, for a lot of people, it's all about entertainment, and I don't think it served up what everyone expected. I mean, for me, the best game of the weekend in terms of entertainment was definitely Man City or Spurs Villa, but in terms of actual, for me being a coach and stuff, I really enjoyed the tactical battle in the Man City Liverpool games. It just depends what you're on for, but I mean, the one thing I definitely took out of it is both teams are nowhere near playing at their best at the moment. So I mean, do you think that's a good thing that they're still like Liverpool are up there and they maybe haven't played their best football yet? Or are you worried that they're still behind Man City and Man City haven't played anywhere near their best yet? And if they kick into gear, it's going to be impossible to live with them. How you see it at the moment? Are you looking at it from an advantage point of view, or are you worried that we need to start picking up points, where we're pulling away from City, so it gives us a bit of a cushion in case they do end up hitting top gear?
No, I'm positive by the way our season is gone. Like we the only game of the season that two that I'm only really annoyed about is for different reasons is the Spurs game for obvious reasons, and then the one against Luton really annoyed me because we should be putting them to the sword. So, but that could be the difference. Well, Man City won't go to Luton and draw. So, but no, I'm happy with our start of the season, and as you say, both teams for me aren't at their full tilt yet. But and as I've seen firsthand, when Man City get in front and they go full tilt, there's no catching them. But I think that this is a different Liverpool team as well, and obviously you have to throw Arsenal into the mix. But I would definitely be confident we'll be at least second or third coming to the end of the season. But I generally think at the end of the season there'll only be like 2-3 points on it. I generally believe it.
I mean, I looked at the table today, and Man City and Arsenal are down on points from last season. They have more points at this stage last season.
I
Arsenal
think
were ahead. Arsenal were top. Arsenal actually are top now, but they have more points at this stage last season. So it can either mean two things: either the teams up there aren't at the level they were last year, which I don't think is the case, or two, that actual quality of teams in the league has improved. Now,
mean,
picking aside the bottom 3 or 4, I do think the likes of Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, Villa, all these teams are capable of taking points off teams.
Yep.
We've seen Wolves. Wolves have took points off Spurs. They beat Spurs and Man City, for example. That kind of stuff wasn't happening last year.
They should have beat Liverpool.
So I mean, I think there's a lot more. You're looking at games and you're thinking, especially away from home. Liverpool are a strong home team, but I think when Liverpool go to the likes of Wolves, and I know they won there, but they go to Brentford, they go to Villas, they almost go, this is going to be a difficult game.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be open this year, and it's all about who can find the consistency. Because all teams have found a bit of consistency at some stage. You say Liverpool only lost one game, Man City have lost 2, Arsenal have lost 1, and Spurs playing first 10 games are unbeaten. So that's different periods. Teams have found consistency, but not enough consistency to open up a gap.
Yep.
And the only fear for me is, whilst it remains very, very tight, that favours Man City because they are the proven team. I know Liverpool have done it on 2 occasions where they've matched City near enough, beat by a point both times. But City do it year in, year out. So that is the stumbling block, I think, for teams. They, like Arsenal and Liverpool, for me, between now and the new year, need to try and open up a gap over Man City, because I think if we come out of Christmas period and it's sort of level, heavily favours Man City.
No, definitely does. Like, they've proven, like, the only league title they haven't won in the past few years is the one we actually won in 2020. So it just shows they're a machine. And after Christmas is when Man City normally kick into gear. But as you were saying, as the table getting better from last season, like I was looking at it today, Liverpool, I think, were like 8th in the league this point last season, and we had no hope of getting anything. So it just shows we a few new players on there, and we don't have a number 6 yet. But to be fair, I don't know if you agree. I thought McAllister played really well on Saturday.
Yeah, he probably had one of his best games.
Yeah. I think he played really well, and when Endo came on, then they didn't really look out of place. I know he gave away a foul for a yellow card, but you have to do that at times. But I definitely think Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City are the strongest 3 teams in the league, and Spurs' injuries have sort of put them down a bit. But once they get their players back, depending on where they are at that point, they could be within a shout of getting that top 4. I think with them 3 losses, I think the title's definitely. I think he's out of that. Like, but once you get your players back,
unless they do on Spurs on Sunday, I think you're right. But well or not, I mean, I don't think that was the overall target. Anyway, I think it was more about getting a style of play, getting a system in place, and really kick on when our
I think it was sort of the same for Liverpool too. Maybe the fans were saying we were going to challenge for the league, but I was sitting here saying we're going to be up there, but if you had said to me after the last international break we're sitting 2 points off the top of the league, like I would have bit your hand off it in the summer.
Now a lot of Liverpool fans are saying, Man City, Man City, Man City. But I mean, should Liverpool be worried about Arsenal because they are consistent? They proved last year they went all the way near enough the end of April before it fell apart. And as you say, with Declan Rice on there, they look a lot stronger physically and even mentally. I think Declan Rice he's up there for player of the season so far. I think he's been outstanding. He's worth every penny what Arsenal paid. And as I said, they've changed their style completely. Whereas last year, they looked a soft touch. I think even in certain times they were conceding goals left, right, and centre, and having to score a lot of goals, a lot of 3-2s, and I remember that 3-3 against. I just don't see that happening this year with them. I mean, I know you'll point to maybe Brentford having 2 off the line. One of them was self-inflicted with the goalkeeper. They are one, yes, but that's one chance Brentford created really from open play against them. The other one was a self-inflicted one. And Arsenal are not conceding chances at all, really, are they? You look at Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal at the minute for me are definitely. I know Liverpool have only conceded one more goal in them, but I think as a unit, Arsenal are definitely the best defensive team out of the 3 at the minute.
I would agree
but
with
I think
that.
they're probably the weakest. They're probably the weakest at scoring goals. So it's fighting that balance. But I mean, are Arsenal a big threat? They Liverpool and Man City.
Aye, of course they are, especially on the evidence of last season. Like I knew they were only going to get stronger when they added Declan Rice. The Havertz one was a bit of a weird one for me, but he went up and scored the winning goal at the weekend, so it sort of that could kickstart his Arsenal career. But for me, it's always going to be Man City, Man City, Man City for me. Like I just don't. I think we're stronger than Arsenal. I generally do. The only position that we're not stronger than Arsenal in is the defensive midfielder. Or not. I think it's a match between both teams. Like if you put,
so in your head, you finish it. If Liverpool finish above Man City, they're champions in your head.
Yep. I don't know if you agree with that, but
it's not that I don't agree with it. I think that it's working out well for Arsenal. That everyone's looking at Man City and maybe Liverpool, and Arsenal are going under the radar a wee bit.
I think that game at Anfield on the 23rd is going to be a big game. If we won that, I think then people will go right Liverpool, Man City again. If Arsenal won it, it'll be Arsenal and City, and then if it's a draw, Man City will be rubbing their hands. So I think one of the teams has to win that game, because if it's a draw, I think Man City will be rubbing their hands.
Interesting. Big games coming up. I mean, only just about recovered. Well, I hadn't recovered, to be honest, and telling a lie. I was still frustrated last night, and I was fine today when I woke up. But I mean, sat back down again, and the game had just kicked off. I think it was about a minute on it, and started watching Everton United, and Garnacho does something like that. I mean, for as bad as I was the time with the Spurs result, I mean, what a goal! I mean, it was incredible.
I didn't even.
Where does it rank? Where does it rank in Premier League goals? I mean, for me, it's the best overhead kick we've seen in the Premier League.
I didn't even see it because I went out. I think I went out to the bathroom at the time, and I came back and I just saw Garnacho celebrating. So I rewinded it to see the goal, and I just went, "Wow!" Like for me, it's the best goal that I've seen in the Premier League, hands down.
You think it's the best ever?
For me, yeah. In terms of like, it sort of had to go backwards to reach it too. So I think it was really a top quality goal. And as I said to you before we came on, it's just a pity that it happened for United.
I mean, sometimes, as you say, sometimes players do things, and even sometimes just 30-40 yard shots. Sometimes you just put their foot through it, and it can fly in the top corner and think, what a goal, but do they really mean it? He definitely meant to do exactly what he meant to do here, and that's what made it even better.
Well, I'll tell you this: if Nunez pulled something like that up, I would never shut up.
I mean, big one for United, because every hour they've actually won 8 games in the league now, but the other 7 ones was all be 1-goal margins. 3-0 one, big one. Started a big for them, obviously Galatasaray away on Wednesday, and we'll speak about that before we finish. But I mean, it makes it 5 wins in their last 6 games, and the only defeat in there was at the Man City. Have they turned a corner? Because they're only 4 points off the top 4 all of a sudden, and they're 6 points off the top. And whilst we've been saying that, the teams above have set a good standard, there's been a lot of drop points between them teams. Arsenal lost to Newcastle, Man City obviously had lost to Arsenal and Wolves, and then they had drew with Chelsea. Liverpool had dropped points away at Luton. So it's open. whereas they've been winning games, they've bridged the gap. The teams above, and now all of a sudden they're only 6 points off the best team in the league at the minute, which is Arsenal, judging by the table, and they're only 4 points behind Villa. So I mean, they've made up some of that early ground they lost. I mean, where do you stand on it?
I'm not worried about them. I just think they've done well. They won 5 of their last 6 games. Well, apart from the City game, they haven't played anyone really, have they? Like I know you can
Well, the
only beat.
argument is they beat Luton. Liverpool didn't beat Luton, so you can say it's an easy game, but then other teams haven't beat Luton.
I know, but I just think in my head, I just think one defeat from United and it all goes down again. But they are well. I don't even. I was going to say they're playing well, but they're not. They're getting results. I think yesterday was probably their best performance of the season that I've seen. And but no, I wouldn't. Do I think they'll get top four? No, they'll definitely not challenge for the title. So
But are
it's
you not? Are you writing them off too early? Because I mean, they're only maybe one more won and a couple of results above them. Teams they're right on. They're right on it. They're right on it in terms of being close to it. Whether they're good enough is another thing, but you know,
it all comes down to their next 2 games for me because I think it's Newcastle at the weekend and then they have Chelsea, isn't it?
Celtic. Hmm.
So
If they already won them
Chelsea
2 games, would you start to worry that they have turned a corner?
no, I wouldn't say I'm not worried because I think we'll finish above them. But I as long as we get top four, I don't care who gets on a long list. To be fair, but if United drop out, then I will be happy. But for me, I just think they're too inconsistent. They've won their last five games. Did you say? No,
Won
eight
5
games.
or last 6.
Five. That's what it was. But I just think the other teams are too strong, and I do think they'll just keep dropping points as well. And obviously they have
Do you think
Liverpool.
they'll beat Newcastle
Who's
away?
home?
Newcastle's at home.
No, I don't think. I actually think it'll be a draw there. But
Hmm.
we'll get
I
we'll get
mean,
on to that.
a
But
lot of United fans have sort of come out and says, it isn't that bad, and they're happy to be winning games. So I mean, I was just sort of asking you questions there. Not that I actually think these things. I'm just trying to be balanced because
no, no, no.
I thought United were awful in the first half yesterday. Bar that
Oh,
overhead kick, they
they were.
created nothing.
I
Everton
thought.
missed 5 or 6 great chances, and they ran out of steam. And United punished them. They got a penalty.
Yeah,
It was a penalty, but I mean they needed that penalty, and then in the end
yeah,
they were comfortable winners after that. And I
yeah.
think when they went up 2-0, as you say, it was probably their best performance of the season. But Everton were a beaten team at that stage.
Uh,
So, it puts on the argument because the reason I ask you this is because Spurs fans seem to be pretty happy, even though they're losing games. Not all Spurs fans, some are saying that, we're playing good football, and even though we're losing, you can't see that lasting too much longer because the
yeah.
performances are good. Whereas United, in all them 5-1s haven't played great, but they've picked up points and are now only 2 points behind Spurs. So, I mean, does style of play matter when you're winning games? From a Liverpool fan's point of view, if Liverpool were crap the next 6 games but won 5 of them, would you be worried about the performance levels, or would you just be saying it doesn't matter, we've won the game?
I would probably say it doesn't matter that way, and we've won the game. But for me, I love both. For me, you have to be playing good football and winning games. But sometimes you can't get both. Like, and if Liverpool, I'll go back to the City game. Like, if we had a nick that 2-1, do you think I would have cared how we played on Saturday? So
No, but that's a one-off. I don't mean in terms of a one-off. Everybody can have a bad day and win a
yeah,
game, but I mean if it's consistently bad every week and you're
all right,
winning
no,
games, is more what I'm getting at because United haven't played well in any of these games recently.
yeah.
You could say they played well yesterday, maybe when they were 2-0 up, but apart from that, if Everton had
Mm,
done at half time, 3-1 up, you couldn't have complained on the chances.
mm,
So that's what I'm trying to get at. And
yeah.
Garnacho's not going
I
to score a
mean,
goal
like,
like that every week. So,
I mean, if you're picking up points, the style of play is irrelevant, really, isn't it?
well,
It
I think bring this in the view right. I've seen today Spurs have exactly the same amount of points as they had at this stage last season, 26 points after 13 games, and the mood around Spurs couldn't be any different. I mean, last year, even when we won games, we weren't enjoying it. We weren't playing good
yeah,
football. I often felt when we won games, we were fortunate. Whereas this year, I'm on the flip side of that. When we played well and we've won, it's been great.
yeah,
But when we played when we played well and not won, or as you said, the last, especially maybe not so much the Wolves game, we didn't play well there, but the Chelsea game, even we named men, I thought we played well. And definitely on Saturday for at least the first half, we were very, very good. Even the second half, I thought we played decent as well. And we lost. And whilst I was frustrated with it, I still looked at that as a positive because we played well. Whereas United fans are getting maybe the same kind of way we felt last year. But you'll get a lot of fans within that are saying, well, it doesn't really matter if you're winning. So, you mean, how do you assess it?
It's obviously
it's very difficult to maintain what United are doing, isn't it? It's very difficult to see them being able to beat Newcastle and Chelsea if they play like that.
Well, Chelsea, you don't know because they're just a basket case. as well.
But even when I watch Chelsea this year at times, I know we'll chat about the game now next at the weekend. But other than that game, they played well in games and maybe not one.
I like if United. I'll use it. If United go and play like they did in the first half against Newcastle, they'll get blew out of the water because even with Newcastle's wretched injuries at the minute, they'll go. Isaac will take the chances that Calvert-Lewin should have scored, and I think wasn't it that Corey missed an absolute sitter as well.
And then somebody else missed one too.
I can't mind who it was, but Everton, as you say, could have went on half time 4-3-4-1 up. So. That's one of the reasons as well why I think United won't get top four because yes, they're winning games at the minute, but as you say, the style of play isn't sustainable and they will come unstuck eventually. And
where do you think they'll finish?
Probably where they're about now, probably about 5th or 6th, but then 5th could get you Champions League, so you don't know. But I'd say though,
you think they'll finish above Aston Villa?
I think it'll be a tight one between them. I think one of them will finish 5th or 6th. I don't know which order. I think.
You think Newcastle not even make top 6?
It's up. No, not at the minute.
Let's look back at some of the rest of the weekend's results. 3 o'clock, Newcastle absolutely tore Chelsea to shreds. I was watching this game, and it was very, very tight at 1-1. And then Chelsea give away 2 goals in the space of a minute, and the game was over. Reece James ends get sent off, and Newcastle put a bit like lost in the scoreline and won 4-1. Probably not a fair reflection of the overall game, but it's funny how things are working out this season because kind of felt like Chelsea suffered the way Spurs did, and Liverpool suffered at Spurs, and Spurs have suffered since that, really. So it seems to be a lot of things are swinging and roundabouts. Kind of like I said to you after that Liverpool and Spurs game, that don't worry, Spurs will get a bit of bad luck at some stage, and it's kind of happened that way.
It seems to be since that Liverpool Spurs game, we've sort of been on a roll, and you've sort of been on a bit of a downturn. And
I look, it's a long season. I mean, you have to forget, like we're only played 13 games. There's still 26 or 25 games to go. Like there's going to be a lot more happening, but it seems like it's just flying. Like, but there's so much more happening.
The mad thing about Chelsea is they've conceded 4 goals in their last 3 matches, which is that's 2 matches, sorry.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, what do you think of this result? I mean, big result for Newcastle. And as I said to you when we were doing the predictions, I fancied Newcastle at home. I fancy Newcastle at home against pretty much anyone just because of how they play there, and the crowd gives them that extra incentive. And at the end, Chelsea crumbled.
I only saw I watched the highlights after the game, and I thought Newcastle were excellent, and obviously the Sterling free kick was just no 2 keepers aren't saving that. But I think once it went 1-1, I think Newcastle just dominated, and Reece James got his first yellow card for kicking the ball away, which was stupid. And then when you're on a yellow card, you can't make a tackle like that. But I thought Joe Linton was excellent, and I thought Anthony Gordon was excellent, and I just thought Newcastle were too quick, too energetic for Chelsea, and Thiago Silva had an absolute nightmare. He that back pass was one of the worst I've seen, and you don't do that with a team like Newcastle who high press you, who don't give you a minute on the ball. So it's a weird one for Chelsea because it seems like every other week we're coming on saying, oh, they've turned their corner, and then the next week they get hammered by a team. So
Poch has been very, very supportive of his players, but that was the first time he unleashed on them. He was very unhappy after the game, questioned their mentality.
Do you
think that's a smart thing to do? Do you think that's a smart thing to do in this day and age?
Well, we've seen with Ten Hag, he's questioned Sancho, and they've had a falling out. And
he actually questioned the whole team on this occasion. He says that they lacked mentality.
So it'll be interesting to see if we get any like fallout from that. But Chelsea's just a mad club at the minute.
I'll have to catch up on this because Callum's actually been texting me about some of the stuff that's been happening on the Monday Night Football. Obviously, we haven't seen it because we're on here. But I thought he was fantastic in the game. He was playing out of position, so he was
Yes,
playing
so
as a
did I.
striker, and he really gave Chelsea a lot of troubles on behind when he's pissed. So we'll have to come back to that. But I mean, Newcastle very similar to Villa, getting a lot of points at home but struggling away from home. And only beat
Yep.
Chelsea 8-0, but all or not, they haven't really been at it away from home.
No,
They only drop
somewhere
points at home. They only drop
somewhere
points
they
from
will
Newcastle at
do.
home. The only drop points from Newcastle at home was that 2-1 defeat to Liverpool, which probably in another day they see it out. And they, like Villa, would have had a 100% record if they did so. So Newcastle and Villa's form is keeping them on there with that chance of Champions League football. So, I mean, if they can rectify their away form, both teams, it gives them a chance of top four because they're so strong at home. But I always think you learn a lot about your teams away from home. And the fact that these teams aren't winning away from home suggests to me that it's unlikely they're going to make a top four.
Yeah, well, I suppose Villa won away from home yesterday, but that was just that's a one-off, I suppose. And
we're going to be speaking about that in a couple of months. Callum saying nothing like 3.90 turnaround away performances.
I actually
Callum actually thought Spurs were pretty good yesterday, and they were unlucky.
I actually texted Callum after the Spurs game and said, Spurs' downfall is wonderful to watch. But no, I thought we'll get on to it when we talk about the Spurs game, but I thought Spurs should have been out of sight in the first half.
5:30 on Saturday, Arsenal left at the 89th minute. They beat Brentford. Have to say, Arsenal are not a great watch. I don't think it's particularly pleasing on the eye, but
they remind me of Chelsea years ago.
It's a bit different to United, where I'll be critical of their style of play, but there's a method to this. It's by design that they're playing like this, and they're being very difficult to beat. I think Arteta realizes that last year defense was their downfall, and the fact they haven't got a recognised striker that scores loads of goals, I don't think they can afford to open up and make it a game of basketball. So they're going about it a different way, and at the minute, you have to say it's working.
I think the table. They say the table doesn't lie, but I think it does. We United where they are because but like Arsenal are top at the minute. Whether they'll stay there is another story. But hey, you can only beat what's in front of you, and they're not playing great football. But they're getting, as you say, it's different to United. Like they're not playing good football, but they haven't played good football in a good while. But Arsenal played good football last season, but as you say, they've sort of changed their style last season or this season. Sorry, so it seems to be working out for them at the minute, and I keep looking forward to that Arsenal game on the 23rd because that is going to be.
I think that's going to be a big game for both teams, but a big test for Arsenal if they can go there and win. Not just draw. If they can go there and win, I think that will put a marker down. But
because Arsenal,
it's going to be difficult to beat Liverpool at home. That's my feeling.
And Arsenal don't have a good record at Anfield either. So I'm actually maybe it's just Gareth doesn't think it's
Arsenal. He doesn't think it's tactical. Too many games going to the wire. The only thing I would say about that is like Liverpool away from home haven't like battered anyone, have they? A lot of your games have been tight.
No,
very difficult. I think to go away from home these days and rip teams to shreds. It sounds very difficult.
I was actually going to say that. Like it seems to be a lot of teams are having good home form but struggling away. The only team
I haven't seen Man City. I know they went to Old Trafford, I suppose, but or not. I don't remember them ripping anyone away from home either. So it's.
I think
teams are very hard to beat at home.
I think the only game we've won away from, the 2 games we won away from home were Wolves and Newcastle. And to be fair, we were very fortunate they won both of them.
So it's very difficult. They go away and batter teams, but
yeah.
I know Callum has his theories on Arsenal and he doesn't really see them as challengers, but maybe that'll change after the 23rd of December. I mean, I looked at Arsenal's fixtures today. They've got Wolves at home and Luton away midweek before they play Villa away. So I think they'll get 6 points out of Wolves and Luton. Villa away will be tough because we know they've got that great home record. But that'll be actually just after they play Man City. So Villa play City and Arsenal back-to-back at home after playing Bournemouth away at the weekend. Bournemouth away will be a test because Bournemouth look to be improving. Villa's away record, as we said, isn't great, even though they won that game, which we'll speak about next. So that'll be a test for them. But if Arsenal already won away at Villa, expecting to beat Brighton at home, that sets them up nicely for that Liverpool away game. If they were to go there and win, that would really put them on the. I think if they go to Liverpool and won, you start to think that maybe they're favourites. They won the league. I don't know, because it's a big ask to go to Liverpool and won, especially when they're playing well.
It was sort of similar last season. Like, people were saying if they had went to Anfield last season and won, they would have went on to win the league. They went 2-0 up and then we came back. So even last season, Anfield was a tough place to go at times. So
Don't get me wrong. I think Arsenal would take your hand off for a point now, but I think if they were to go and win, it changes the whole feeling around it.
To me, like, them 2 home games against United and Arsenal, I'm very confident that we're going to get 6 points out of it.
Would you take 4 points?
I would rather draw with Arsenal than United, because Arsenal will get. I agree.
Arsenal's going to get trummed at Anfield.
I agree. I
think it'll be tight. I think Arsenal will make it difficult.
We'll actually be there for that one, or out for that one. So hopefully there's no Arsenal fans coming.
No, probably will be. Yeah. Villa come from behind. They beat wasteful Spurs. I mean, I was very frustrated yesterday. Feel a lot better today. I'm trying to focus on what's ahead.
Man City, man. It's not going to get any better.
We talked on that game at the end, but I mean, for me, again, don't want to sound biased, but thought the first 45 was the best 45 I've seen from any team this weekend. Thought Spurs were very, very good. Probably made all the more impressive with the players they were missing, and they still produced the performance. I mean, before the game, when the team was announced, I was surprised. We had no centre backs, no recognised centre backs, no recognised defensive midfielders. It was very attacking. And I mean, they put Villa under serious pressure in the first half, and really, they should have been out of sight. One should have been 2 or 3-0 at least.
I think, didn't Kulusevski hit the post?
It's harder than must, wasn't it?
At one point. And then Son had an awful game, I think. I know he scored a hat-trick of
offside goals. I mean, the one thing I would say is his finishing was excellent, but his timing of his runs was all wrong.
He seems to be missing Madison as well.
Well, I've read that Son's actually scored 7 offside goals this season, so it's not just down to Villa. I mean, it's him as well. He needs to. I think, to be fair, the first one he scores is a fantastic finish where he runs through. I think to be fair, the pass should have came earlier as well. So I caught him some slack on that one.
I think a lot to do with the result too. When Bentancur went off, I thought that really hurt your play. I know he's played well for a bit after he went off, but I think that was a big loss for you. And at the time, you were saying to me it's a horror tackle, and you thought he went down on badness. Did it? I didn't, but it was a bad challenge from Cash.
Well, he's got history. That's the thing. With Spurs, he's done it to somebody else as well. So.
Have you heard anything about that injury?
Well, it didn't look good yesterday, but what I'm hearing positive is it looking like he's going to be okay. Now, Spurs might actually be able to field their strongest team on Saturday for a number of weeks. So we have Basuma back, Bentancur back. Obviously, Romero will still be missing for one more game. We know Van de Ven and Madison are long term, but if the midfield of Basuma and Bentancur's, I mean, it shows you on Saturday how big a loss he's been, or on yesterday, how big a loss he's been, because I thought he was the best player in the pitch in the first half. I mean, Villa, for me, their strongest part of their team is the midfield. And I mean, he couldn't get near Bentancur. I thought he was outstanding. I would
take Douglas Luiz at Liverpool in a heartbeat. I don't know if Callum's watching, he would agree, but I would take him.
Callum saying if Nunez scored 7 offside goals. To be fair, the difference is though, Callum, is even when someone's offside, he still scores. Nunez tends to miss still, so you know what I mean. So I'm not too worried about Son's finishing. I mean, that first goal where he ran through and whopped it into the top corner was prime Son. I've no doubt about it that he'll be able to sort that issue out anyway.
Do you think Spurs should have had a penalty? I had a lot of people saying they should have, but
I don't criticize referees because, as I said, it swings and roundabouts. For me, difficult to spot an open play, and it probably is a foul. But I'm not.
It's outside the box.
I'm not going to batter the referee because regardless of the penalty, we had enough chances they won that game, and it wasn't down to the referee. We lost it.
To be fair, speaking of the referees, there hasn't been a lot of controversial decisions in the past couple of weeks.
Nah, well, Whitford this weekend. Whitford G1 this weekend. So on the game itself, Spurs end up being punished for missing the chances. I mean, 3 defeats in a row. First time we've lost 3 games for 3 years. But The mid around Spurs is still pretty good. A lot of the fans are saying that, no time to panic. Even if we lose to Man City next week and it's 4 in a row. I'm not sure the last time we lost 4 in a row in the league, but this is no time to panic. The football's good. We're creating chances. And when we get our players back again, we're going to be okay. I mean, do you share that optimism, or do you think Spurs, they should be worried?
It's all well and good saying when we get our players back, you'll be grand, but by the time you get your players back, if you keep losing, you aren't going to be anywhere near in the table. They have them players have an impact on where you finish. So I think
on yesterday's evidence, so like you wouldn't say that Madison and Van der all them maybe the centre backs, maybe because we would have been better at the back, but I don't think Madison was particularly much yesterday because look at how many chances they created.
I know that like you are creating a lot of chances, but you can't finish them for love normal.
Yesterday was the first game this season I thought, Kane's a big muss. No, of course we know he's going to be a muss, but you put Harry Kane in that team yesterday and Spurs won that game.
I'm not just saying this, but I think if you put Darwin Núñez on that team yesterday, he's won that game.
There's no evidence they support that.
No, I think he would finish Cole's. He would finish Cole's.
I've seen a muss where I've seen a muss easier chances than that.
I do agree. Like if you put Kane in that team, he's very vulnerable. He's needed Son. He's a good finisher, but for me, he's need a recognised number 9.
Will Spurs finish above Villa this season?
Aye, they will. Spurs will finish. Spurs will finish 4th, in my opinion.
Let's look ahead to the European games this week. Tomorrow night, it's do or die for Celtic. I think it's the early game tomorrow night, 5:45, away to Lazio. Celtic have to win to have any chance of qualifying for the next round. Does their Champions League dream come to an end tomorrow night?
I think, to be honest, I think even if they win, they won't qualify. In my opinion, so I think no matter what happens, I think Celtic.
Do you think they're good enough to go to Lazio and win on the evidence we've seen in the Champions League?
No, I think Lazio will win. I think it'll be a tight one, but I think Lazio will just nick it in the end. Though.
You think they'll be too strong?
I'm going to go 2-1 Lazio.
Big game for PSG or Newcastle away to PSG tomorrow night. Again, can't afford to lose the game or they're out. A draw keeps them only a fighting chance because the group's so tight. Depending on how the hour result goes, we'll not know after the game.
Aren't they?
But I think if they get a draw, they'll still definitely be a chance of if they beat Milan in the last game. They may need a favour off someone, which is possible because it is a very tight group. I think Newcastle right now would probably snap your hand off for 4 points if they could get a draw tomorrow night and beat Milan. They would take a chance on. Hopefully that will be enough. It's a big ask because, as we said, with Newcastle away from home, they've been pretty poor. Away to Dortmund, they were rolled over. They were poor in Milan. They were very lucky to get a point. So on the evidence we've seen this season, it's going to be a difficult job going there tomorrow night. Even though they beat them 4-1 at home, we know it's a different game. Do you think Newcastle can get something tomorrow night?
I would like them to, because I want the Newcastle is always a club I've had a soft spot for. I don't know why. It's always a club I've had a wee soft spot for, but I don't see them getting anything tomorrow night. I think PSG will win very comfortable. I'm going to go 3-0 PSG.
So you think Newcastle's Champions League dream ends tomorrow night?
Yeah. What about you?
I think so as well. I think PSG will be too strong at home. I think the fact they're stretched down too. Going away to PSG is difficult, you know what I mean? And we've said before, maybe in big games, PSG come unstuck, but usually at home they do okay. It's away games they struggle on.
You think Newcastle will?
To be fair, it's showed you that they haven't got the quality in their squad yet for the Champions League. But do you know what though? I'm expecting to beat Milan in the last game at home, and I think it will be a big threat in the Europa League. I don't know about you, but would you be worried about Newcastle in the Europa League?
No. I still think no matter who drops down, we'll win it. I'm actually going to be the opposite. Yeah, I think Newcastle will drop out of Europe altogether.
You think so?
Just because of the injuries,
Man City, Arsenal, and United all if they play as well between now and Wednesday night. Start off United or away to Galatasaray on Wednesday night. Very difficult place to go, and again they're going to have to win realistically to keep their chances alive. If they lose, they're out. If they lose, they're out. A draw, I think they're as good as gone as well, to be honest. But I think a draw keeps them away a fighting chance, providing they beat Bayern Munich in the last game. Only good thing about that is Bayern Munich will top the group, and really it's a dead rubber for them, so they may rest players.
I can't see
How do you
triple game.
see, first of all, how do you see that game going on Wednesday night? I think it's a 46 kickoff as well, early kickoff time.
It's a tough one because Galatasaray are good at home. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 1-1.
And do you think they'll end up crashing out?
Hopefully. I think if they draw them or Wednesday night and then Bayern beat them, I think they'll be gone. Like, so that's how I see it.
I think the Europa League's going to be very difficult to predict because I think United and Newcastle's going to drop down. I think West Ham and Brighton's going to get through. So you're possibly going to have Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, Brighton, and West Ham. Now, Liverpool are the strongest out of the 5, but they're all difficult games. I mean, I think in Europe, all them teams, including United, are going to play their strongest 11. I'm not sure Liverpool will, if they're involved in the title race. That makes it a level playing field for me.
As I say,
I think if all them teams are on it, if them 5 teams are on it, I think it's going to be an English winner. I think there's too many good English teams there. They're all good teams in their own right. They're all different teams, but they're all good enough. As we've seen last year, West Ham in Europe, they won the Conference League. They were beaten in the semi-final of the Europa League the year before. So they've got pedigree in the last couple of years of making it to the latter stages. Brighton, I think as well, the way their league campaign's going, they're not going to get relegated. So they're going to have a right crack at Europe. And we know Brighton, especially when they get players back, are going to be a threat too. So it'll make it an interesting. I think come February time, this will be a lot better to watch than some of the crap we've been watching over the last few weeks.
It'll be an interesting competition if the likes of United and Newcastle drop down. But I would still, even if they do drop down, I would still be confident Liverpool will be going to double.
Even if they're involved in the title race, do you not think maybe they might take an eye off it?
No, I think we'll go for everything we're on. Like you've seen with the League Cup, like we're right in the thick of
that. Man City and Arsenal, near enough through. Not much they predict. Arsenal's at home to Lens, City's at home to Leipzig. I think a draw for Man City tops the group. They're already qualified. Arsenal as well, we have 1 would be qualified. So you expect that to happen?
I expect both of them to win comfortably.
Yeah. Callum saying don't be forgetting to preview the big game on Thursday, Liverpool against Bath. You expect Liverpool to get the job done and sift passage through?
Aye, we have to, don't we? Like, because if we don't, then I'm done watching football.
We'll finish off looking ahead to the weekend's game. So I'm just going to ask you for some quick fire predictions ahead of the weekend. We're not going to preview them because we'll be doing them on Friday. But
who's on me on Friday?
I'll let you know. I have to check. It's on my book somewhere. Saturday, Arsenal against Wolves. There's no 12:30 game on Saturday because
that's convenient, doesn't it?
United are away in Europe on the Wednesday, and because of Jurgen Klopp's sort of frustration, that rule's been brought in. So there you go. United would have had a 12 kickoff if they had it at home. Because they're away in Europe, they play at 8 o'clock. So
they'd still find a way to put Liverpool on a 12:30 if it was like
Arsenal against Wolves 3 o'clock. Arsenal to get 3 points.
I'll go 2-0 Arsenal.
Brentford against Luton.
1-1. I'm gonna go 1-1.
Burnley against Sheffield United, massive game.
No.
5:30, Nottingham Forest against Everton. Big game as well.
Forest at home. I'm going to go 2-1 Forest.
And 8 o'clock, Newcastle against Man United.
2-0 Newcastle.
You changed your mind? You thought it'd be a draw earlier?
Newcastle are strong at home, so I'm going to go 2-0.
Because all European action, we've got a bumper Sunday, 5 games live, or 5 games on, 2 games live. The 3 games that ain't on live, Bournemouth against Villa, 2 o'clock.
No, I'm gonna stick with Villa. I'm gonna go 1-0 Villa. I think they'll beat Bournemouth.
Chelsea against Brighton.
2-2.
Liverpool against Fulham.
3-0 Liverpool.
The early live game, 2 o'clock. West Ham against Crystal Palace, London Derby.
2-1 West Ham.
And 40 finish the weekend. Man City against Spurs.
3-0 Man City.
Think so?
I think with Spurs' injuries, I think it'll be a comfortable one for Man City. I was going to go on the Palace here. Do you think if they lose a few more, Roy could be in trouble?
Well, the problem is you'll be sacking him, and then they're looking for another relegation expert. They bring Hodgson in last year to save them, so I think they'll stick with him unless it gets really bad. And I think the insurance a lot of teams. I think that the insurance a lot of teams have. I'm looking at Sheffield United and Burnley, and I'm thinking they're gone already. I really don't see them getting out of it.
Do you still think Everton will survive, or
just? But if Luton keep winning games, that's gonna so that could be difficult because Bournemouth starting to put results together. Man City could break the highest ever goals. Do you know what? Spurs could have a difficult day if City are on it. If City are off it. I think Spurs will cause them. I think Spurs will cause them problems as well. The back, I think City are great.
I said 3. I said 3-0, but see if Spurs play at high line, I think these are on for us. Boy, you will get battered.
I think Spurs will get a result.
Ooh.
I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw.
Are you home or away?
Away. We're only a lot of things to go away. I just have a feeling everyone's expecting to lose, that they'll go there and they'll put. I mean, I have no reason to doubt them. They performed in every game, so I mean, I'm expecting them to still go there and perform. And I think with Bentancur, if Bentancur is fit and Basuma's back, the midfield's a lot stronger. The defense I'm worried about, but I still think we're capable of scoring goals. I think Son is going to eventually that offside thing's going to. He's going to get on the right side of that. And at the minute, he's ruthless in front of the goal. So, and he enjoys playing against Man City too. So,
I think it's sort of similar to Liverpool Man City. Everyone, even me, that could predicted a one. Everyone sort of thought we were going to go there and lose, didn't they? So
that's it. Oh, and that as us brings us to the end of the show. Callum's just saying that Fulham are beating Wolves 1-0. So we'll catch the rest of that game now. It just kicked off about 10 minutes ago. Thank you for coming on again. Thanks for all your comments. Anyone watching, if you're new around here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Going to be so much happening between now and Christmas. Loads of shows. So much football coming up in December. Hardly believe me and Callum done the first episode in the middle of June, and we're nearly in December. Absolutely crazy.
Unfortunately, you'll probably be seeing my ugly mug a bit more.
So as I said, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. Owen, thanks very much. I'll be back on Friday doing the weekend preview and looking back at some of them results in Europe where a lot of teams are going to find out their fit. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.
No bother.